they even have these red crimson bags to put all my yarn in. Behind the counter, they had these Herrschners tote bags, and that's like my favorite souvenir to get. Every time I go to a new yarn store, fall in love with the yarn, that's what I'm taking home. In fairness, I already knew that I loved Herrschner's yarn, but this is the very first time that I was at the retail store, so I was like, absolutely, I need to grab one of those. So I just grabbed my favorite yarn, or like the yarn that I wanted to work on in the car on the ride home, which was the mill end yarn, and then everything else just went in here. Herrschner's yarn. They are not only an online yarn store, but they have an actual brick and mortar retail space, and it's freaking massive. So this has been on my yarn traveling bucket list for a very long time. Honestly, since I first ordered something from Herrschner's and found out they are also Halloween people, so they have a lot of stuff. We'll get into that. But what kind of started this of like, okay, now is the time. If I have some extra days, let's go and visit this store. They send out catalogs, and I just, flipped through them. Happened to see the front was like, oh, summer 2024, but in fairness, it looked kind of fall-ish to me. Flipped it on the back. Hello freaking Halloween. Things just kind of worked out perfectly for me to go and spend an entire day there. And when I say an entire day, like, this store is so big that even after leaving, I was thinking there was other things that I would love to have stayed there a little bit longer to kind of go through and stuff, like the patterns that they had, entire clearance section, the bargain area is what it's called. I just kind of moved through that a little quicker than I would like to, even though, I mean, I was there for quite a while, but still, there was just a lot of yarn happening, and I was just like crazy excited. All right, let's start at the beginning. I'm rolling up to the Herrschner site and see that there is the retail site and also the warehouse. So they have two separate things. Also, they are separate on their social accounts too. So if you follow them on Insta like I do, there's two. There's a Herrschner's retail, and then there's Herrschner's craft, I think is what it is. But like the retail space, they have these giant sales and clearance items. There's also other things like fabric and latchhook. I mean, there's a lot. I'm really gonna have to like go back through and look at all this stuff. You wanna be following both of them to get all of the goodies. Okay, so let's start with the Halloween stuff that I saw. The Herrschner's Worsted 8 Halloween Sparkle. It is freaking back this year. They have added two new colors, Sorcerer and Goblin. Okay, can we guess which one I was like really excited about? The green, the slimy goodness, all put together. This is a gradient yarn. We have the two new ones. And then these are returning ones from last year. I got to see most of them, and when I got to the corner that was this Herrschner's Halloween Sparkle yarn, I noticed that the two new ones were not there, and I was kind of a little bit sad, but I figured I would just ask. I'm like, do you happen to have these in stock? I know they're not out, maybe it's a little bit too early, and the incredibly kind human that I talked to was like, oh no, we are Halloween people. We have been wanting to put this yarn out for a while. Let me know, what do you want? Like, I'll go back and grab it for you. Because the retail space is attached right to the warehouse, which the warehouse is so freaking huge, which is why this is not being crossed off of my bucket list. This is gonna be circled, underlined, and pushed to the top again to go back there and recheck everything out. We have both of the colors here in the Yarn Dungeon. I'm such a happy freaking ghoul right now. All right, so the very first one is Sorcerer. We have some muted pinks, orange, and black into it. Even though I had the entire car ride home to kind of like think about what I was gonna do with this yarn, I haven't pinpointed any of it down. Like, there are so many ideas that I wanna do. I'm thinking I'm gonna throw this on my adding machine and make some pumpkins. Also, maybe a tote. I have this really fun pattern that I've kind of been playing around with in my head to use as a cover for a tote bag to hold some of my enamel pins, which I have just like a huge bucket that I need to go through. And this yarn would be really perfect for it. So it suggests using a 5mm crochet hook, or 5.5. And then for that pattern, I would use a 5, just to kind of make it a little bit closer together. I haven't got it started on this. And then we have the Goblin. Okay, just as a heads up, if you like to get your yarn shipped to you in these nice little bags of stuff, the Halloween Sparkle ships in 5 skeins. I should have known that from last year, but I got 4 of each. However, I am gonna order some more of this just because there are a couple of blanket patterns that I saw there that it would just be perfect for this yarn. So I'm gonna order them in packs of 5. Also just to have them around. I mean, we are only in July at this moment, so there is gonna be plenty of patterns that come up that I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to use it for this worsted sparkle. Okay, and here's the other thing. This stuff sells out so freaking quick, which is another reason why they put it out early. Like you and I, we want to get going on our patterns, power through some of them before October. So by the time it gets to October, we're pretty lucky if we have any of this stuff left. So if you look through any of these colors and you're like, I love this, head to their site right now, check it out. The candy corn one, I have my little blanket here. So I did an edge. The middle of this is a blanket that I thrifted, but then the edge is the candy corn. I also have a cardigan that I made with the candy corn. I mean, we've got candy corn blankets, candy corn pillows, just all the things. That pillow has little candy corn buttons on it. Huge, huge fan. Cannot wait to see the shelves just lined up with those little bags of goodies. Okay, so back to experiencing the Herrschner retail store for the very first time. I walk up and see there's a cart that has a bunch of like grab bag assortment type of yarn. They do that on their site every once in a while, but this is really cool as like a entrance to the store. Hey, here's some clearance yarn. If you don't have any patterns in mind or anything, why don't you go ahead and check this yarn out. Get through the doors and I'm just like unbelievably overwhelmed. I had to take a second to kind of calm down a little bit and be like, okay, where do I start? And I knew from getting this catalog that I wanted to see the Herrschner Sparkle. I wanted to see the Halloween yarn that they had from last year. The Halloween Village was also top of my list, which I definitely saw. I didn't see the entire setup, and this is a cross stitch little kit. That's another thing that they do there, and puzzles. I didn't see any of the Halloween puzzles actually, so a lot of the Halloween stuff wasn't out yet, but it's slowly getting onto their site. I feel like after this week we're gonna see an explosion of Halloween on their site. Also, there was this thing, the spider scrubby. This year I am completely redoing my kitchen and all of the decor that's in it, all the way down to scrubs, towels, posters, anything and everything. So it was kind of perfect that I saw this. Immediately got distracted as I was going down the huge aisles of yarn and saw the neon yarn. This is something that I got the entire line last year and used quite a bit of it to make my Killer Clowns from Outer Space costume that I had. So I did a top, a little frilly. Oh, and then I made a wig too. I forgot about that. Not for my Killer Clowns, but for my Sally costume. Yeah, I used it for a lot of things. They have these awesome kits that were on the bottom, so if you see this yarn but you're like, I'm drawing a blank, I don't really know what I want to do with this, but I know that I want the yarn for something, just don't want it to come home and sit on my shelves in the yarn dungeon, well, they have you covered. Here you go, just grab this kit, ready to go. You don't even have to think about anything. The neon explosion. I almost grabbed 2 new blankets. Yeah, that's how much I love that freaking yarn. The chevron neon blankets, I think that would be a really fun one to do for October as just kind of a winding down for the day type of thing. They also had one that was blocked stripey. Another one that would be, I mean, honestly, they were all just cozy vibes to chill out for the day, and at the end of it, you have this electric neon blanket. It comes with the yarn, comes with the pattern. The only thing it doesn't come with is a crochet hook, which I personally like because I have my go-to crochet hooks that I love. So when kits come with that, I end up just gifting them away to other people. So I really don't need that option in there, but having the printout of the pattern is a really cool idea. Oh, another thing that they had was Addy knitting machines. There was a king size, which is the one that I use to make things like blankets and cardigans, beanies, and then a baby size one to make my fuzzy little house slippers, mittens, headbands, dishcloths, dish scrubbies, whenever my fingers are just super tired of working with that scrubby stuff, I get really fatigued with it after a while. So I can only do 2 to maybe 4 in one sitting before my fingers are like, okay, I am overstimulated by this texture of yarn. We need to do something else. But in my mind, I want to keep making more. Then I'll throw it on that baby knitting machine, crank out like 30 rows, cinch it closed, and then it's just like a little circle scrubby. Very easy. They also had a tiny little mushroom knitting machine, and then right behind it, a huge selection of knit, crochet, embroidery, knitting machine books, and they had my all-time favorite knitting machine book too. Now, obviously, these can be used on other knitting machines, but I love my Addy machine, and I mean, I have other knitting machines too that I use, but that's like my go-to. When I want to sit down and make a huge project, it's my Addy machine. This is one of my favorite knitting machine books too. They just do a really good job of explaining the ins and outs of the machine and then also giving pattern examples. I'm not gonna say I love every pattern that's in that book, but the introduction and just kind of like learning how to use the machine, the patterns are fantastic for that. I've made the cardigan. I don't honestly think that there's anything from that book that I haven't made. There's even this little satchel for if you have a small pet, you can put them in there. My cats would never. I would love it if they would, but yeah, they are like absolutely not. After I made my way through all of the aisles of yarn, I went to the other side of the store, which had things like fabric and cross stitch, embroidery, things like that. This is where I found the Halloween cross stitch set. So it's a tiny little village and there's quite a few pieces in there. This is year number 2 that I have gone back and forth with like, do I start this? It is so freaking cute, but obviously it's gonna take a little time commitment. I didn't see the entire kit, so there's 2 of them you can get together. A lot of pieces, cute little tombstones, ghosts, quite a few little village pieces for housing. And this is another thing that last year was back ordered because we all freaked out and we all loved it. Saw a bunch of the fabric that they had, and then they had examples of quilts on the wall, and one of them was such a gorgeous Halloween quilt. Right underneath it, it had a container with the pattern for it. So if I wanted to make that exact thing, just grab the pattern, grab all the fabric underneath, get everything all cut to the size that I need it, bring it home, and make this amazing quilt. Quilting is something that I would love to get into this year, just since I'm kind of starting to get back into my sewing experience. Definitely saved this pattern. It looked like a doable beginner type of pattern. I think it actually said that on there, but it was just long strips, put a border on. But sometimes simplicity is the way to go with patterns, and it's just so simple. That's all you need, and the fabric really shone. Like the one part that had the crows and the pumpkins on it, or maybe it was a raven and a pumpkin. Either way, that sold me on that pattern. After I did a full walkthrough of the fabric, headed to the back of the store, which was the bargain corner. Okay, this was just, it was so much. It was tables and tables of yarn and fabric and tons of kits. Everything was all set up there. Here is where I could have spent so much time just looking through every single little thing. The deals that were happening on that yarn was incredible. There was some pretty cool stuff. It was all really well organized too. So on the bottom of the table, they had labels of what's in each box and then what it's for. So like if it's a holiday one, it'll say Halloween right underneath it. I totally appreciated that because a lot of times when they have a bargain area, it's just like, here is all the yarn, and then it's every single piece of yarn, but it was all organized to the type of yarn and also the season of the yarn. There was this really cool Frankenstein's monster latch hook kit. It was so huge. I picked up the kit. It was incredibly heavy. So many pieces in there. Latch hook is another thing thing that is on my list of stuff to do this year. So every October I go through, or like the month or two before October, I sit down and plan out my entire month of like, what would I like to do? What are some fun activities? Any new things that I want to do? Obviously, I'm going to be crocheting all October, but pumpkin picking, making my own pumpkin spice lattes, and then crafting, coloring, reading books, like all of the things. I like to get it all in one place. I might have to carve an area out for some latch hook because last year they had some really cute rugs that came out too. I don't know that I can commit to an entire Frankenstein's monster, but it would be amazing. So they had a few of those. They also had a ton of the mystery grab bags from the holiday season, like just a huge pile of them. And I really liked that one. There was some pretty high quality yarn that was in there. I think I got Wool in the Gang from it. Yeah, it was a purple Wool in the Gang, very lightweight, chunky yarn. Totally worth way more than they priced it for, which grab bags, that's what it is. It's a mystery, you have no idea, but it's normally a discounted price. Overall, it was just such a fun freaking day, and everybody there was so kind and wanted to chat yarn. I could have stayed there all day, grabbed my project, and hung out in the area just surrounded by yarn. So huge shout out, thank you to everyone that was working at Herrschners Yarn. We'll definitely be back. Yeah, I'm just still buzzing from this experience. It was so freaking fun. On the way out, I noticed that they had their catalogs. So this little thing was sitting there, and also the Halloween edition, which is more things than I've seen in the catalog. So on this one, we only had the back page. Oh, there's more. So this is what I'm talking about. 6 feet tall. That's, oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't know. It's called Frankie Fun Wall Hanging. 6 feet tall, posable Frankenstein's monster right there. What do we think? Is that something I should do? And most of the stuff is on sale already. Like it says, huge Halloween sale. And this is all the stuff you can find online. We have haunted beaded accessories. You know what? We're just gonna flip this over and you and I are gonna go through this together. Okay. All right, so we have the 6 foot tall skeleton Frankie, little haunted beaded accessories, set of 9. That could be a fun project just to do in October. Just do like a couple days, or maybe like every weekend do one of those. Spooky Pal accessories, these haunted magnets, little cross stitch action, the scaredy cat one. Yeah, for sure. Paint by number, a little cat wall hanging. What else do we have? Here's a latch hook that I saw last year too, Haunted Hill latch hook. It would be the only one I could do. That is a lot of detail. It looks gorgeous, but that is a lot to commit to. Mantle sitters, so a lot of cross stitch that we have here. And are you also cross stitch? Yeah, this is counted cross stitch as well. Something fun to add to the spooky year-round tree. Trick or treat pet ornaments. I only have cats that own my house, so I would do that action, but I think you can get a pack of all of them. Yeah, there's 2 sets and you can go ahead and like bundle them together. Kind of like the haunted village that they have, which is right there. Just look at how freaking cute it is. That is the main one that I love. The purple and slime green. Gorgeous. We have a little gnome action. Would love to have seen that in person. Okay, bleeding soy candles. Curious if it's like you light it and it continues to bleed, or maybe it's just the red on the outside, because I love the ones where you light it and then it just kind of oozes out everywhere. This is the latch hook. This is the one that got me last year thinking, you know what, maybe latch hook is fun. I haven't done it in a while and be super cute in my office. Some trick-or-treat bags, a couple of felted gnomes. What do we think about this year's Halloween blanket that they have? They're using the witch's brew, which I do love, but it comes with the pattern, the yarn, everything that you need. And with this entire project or like kit, you can choose any of the Halloween colors. But that is the stitch that they use for the pattern. This has to happen. The Gone Batty ornaments, too cute to not make those this year. Another Halloween blanket that uses just their classic Herrschner yarn. So it's just the solid colors all put together to make a spooky blanket. Spider scrubbies. So it's like you make the spider web and also the spiders. Very curious about that. Love that stitch too. Not normally a huge crochet towel person, but I do like their cotton yarn, like specific Herrschner's cotton yarn. Probably just gonna have to grab one of those too. Tons of really cute puzzles this year. I love the candy one. Just very nostalgia moment right there. Ghostbuster puzzle. The 3D puzzles are freaking cool too. We have one more page. Yeah, just one more on the back, and that's just fall. Okay, obviously they knew. They're like, okay, here's fall if you want, but really it's an entire catalog of just Halloween explosion everywhere at Herrschners. Definitely a few things I saw in the catalog here that I didn't see in store that I will be keeping my eye out for. Okay, so everything that I did get. We got the Herrschners Halloween sparkles. Here is the other bit of the sorcerer. Snagged the spider scrubby kit. How freaking fun. You can carry it around, travel with you, and I think I will keep this bag. Like, it's kind of nice. It has a zipper and everything on it. And there's like another layer of protection for just the pattern, so keep it safe in the summertime if you travel or crochet outside with it. Herrschner's Crochet Spider Scrubby. The whole pattern is on the inside, and then it also has washing instruction, a list of crochet hooks, just in case you need a little brush up on what the size is of crochet hooks, and crochet abbreviations. Wow, there's a lot on the back of this. Huge list of it right there. For the yarn, we have orange, purple, and black of the scrubby yarn. And this is their actual Herrschner's Suds and Scrub. I got this in a mystery bag the first time that I experienced it and was a little nervous because, like I said, I definitely get fatigue when I work with stuff like this. It is not as abrasive as other scrubby yarn that I've used before, which I really like. I mean, it still works. It does the job that I needed to do for cleaning all my Halloween dishware, but it's a little bit softer on my hand. I mean, it's a scrubby yarn, so it's gonna do what it's supposed to do. It's not a soft yarn, that's what I mean. 100% polyester. There's 2.8 ounces in it. Suggests using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, machine wash and dry flat. Even without reading that, you can probably already have guessed to lay it flat because it has a lot of the little like frilly polyester bits right here. You wouldn't want to throw that in the washer. It would all just kind of melt into a giant piece, which is not what we want from our scrubbies. So does it say the name on it? Pansy. The black one, I really love this. Kind of wish I just would have gotten a bunch of this color to make a ton of spiders. I don't know, even throw it on my knitting machine and just make plain scrubbies like this. Color name is black. And then the orange one is tangerine. Okay, so all together, super fun. And they're gonna turn into my little spider webs. Visit our website for hundreds of yarn and pattern. They have a ton of free patterns on their site too. You will not ever like need for a pattern. Go on there, click on whatever yarn they have, and then underneath there's like, hey, here's some options. Plastic canvas yarn of Herrschners, 10 yards. Not really sure what I'm going to use this for. Oh, the eyes on the spider. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. Just this tiny little bit. And we have some cotton. Craft cotton yarn in the color Jet. It's 100% cotton, 4-ply, and suggests a 5 millimeter crochet hook with it. Machine wash, dry on cool, just a classic cotton yarn to have. I have quite a bit of this in my like staple collection here in the Yarn Dungeon. All right, so that is the kit that I got. I'm gonna have to write it on my planner. Like, today is the day we're gonna start and do all this. I grabbed a little worsted celebration sparkle yarn. This is another line that is Herrschners. The name of this one is Trick or Treat. So they have an entire line just dedicated to holidays. Take all the colors associated with the holiday and cram it into this yarn. Grabbed one of them. I don't know, I figured I'd do something with it. The stack of it was just screaming at me. It works really, really well on the knitting machine, and you wouldn't think that, especially because it has this metallic strand. It might get snagged on there. I have never had that issue with it. And sometimes knitting machines are very particular about the yarn that they like to use, but it's just because it's that worsted weight and the fact that the metallic strand it's pretty tightly wrapped around it. Nothing is getting loose from it in order for it to get caught or have that opportunity. Maybe we'll make this into a beanie, like my pumpkin picking beanie. Something new from the Suds and Scrub line is their actual Trick or Treat color. Packs of 5 if you like it to come to you all nice and wrapped up like this. Before I saw the spider one, I was thinking I'll just go ahead and use this, but I'm glad that I got both because these ones I think I'll just use on the knitting machine and just let the color play as it will. So whenever I need to take a little break from making those cute little spider webs, we'll just switch over to this, head over to the knitting machine and make just little circles from it. But yeah, I can probably get 3 or 4 out of one of these skeins. We're gonna be set with Halloween kitchen accessories this year. Highly recommend if you ever have a chance to go and stop in and just look at the yarn, have a chat about yarn. Definitely recommend checking it out. On the way out of town, I also stopped at a cute little coffee shop and got a cortado to go. So like it was just a full day of amazingness. Good coffee, good yarn. I was pretty happy. Oh yeah, and then the pattern that I started on the way home. So they had a bag in the bargain section for mill ends. I need to grab the actual package that it came in, but here is what it looked like. So it's this little cotton cake, and they had a free pattern available, which was a hexagon cardigan. They suggested using a 3 or a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. I wanted it to work up a little bit quicker, so I'm using a 4 millimeter, but I'm loving how it's turning out. Fingers crossed that I can get this done before the end of summer. Honestly, this is like what I'm working on at the end of the night now. I want to use this right now, really. It's a really, really beginner friendly type of pattern. You just use a little granny stitch and go all the way around, build each corner, and then keep going. So mindless crochet pattern, which is what I love, especially for the end of the night or working in the car. Like on the way home, obviously I was gonna work on something. I'm not gonna just sit there and have nothing to work on, but I was still able to chat and listen to podcasts and things like that. I didn't have to focus on a pattern. It's not like color work or anything. Really enjoyable pattern. Self-striping cotton cake mill ends. So there's 2 cakes in each bag, and for the pattern it says that with this amount of yarn you can make all the way up to a size extra large. And it also does say if you're doing a small or medium you might not get through all the colors, so choose your favorite or kind of like pull out a little bit as you're going. I want mine to be oversized, so I think I'm just gonna keep on going until I'm done with this and see how that ends up being. The example that they had of this totally got me. It looked like Hocus Pocus colors. I couldn't find that exact color, but this gray to black gradient was gorgeous. So I was like, absolutely, let's go ahead and try it anyways. Okay, so I think that is officially everything. All of the stuff that I got from the Herrschners retail store and my experience that I had, which was fantastic. I will definitely be going back. How many times have I said that now? It was a great day. Thanks for hanging out with me today, chatting all things Herrschners yarn out of the entire Halloween lineup with their new yarn, which we will be talking about more here very, very soon. Let me know what your favorite colorway was. Have a super spooky rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video.